Well, I'm in Weymouth. I just popped down for the day because it's a Saturday, and I finished my writing this morning. I thought I'd just come and see what was going down here. It's about 40 miles west of my house, and it's just a sort of nice thing to do on a Saturday. And look what's happened. I've come here, and on the wall over there is a Baltic Trader. This is something you won't see in Britain very often. It's a proper trading ketch. She probably was taken out of trading, I wouldn't be surprised, 20 or 30 years ago, and she'll have been doing a bit of this and that ever since. I bet she was built around about the time of the First World War. And she is an exact sister ship of the vessel I was on in 1969 when I met my wife Ros and sailed away with my old shipmate John. And that vessel really formulated me as a person, I think. It had more effect on me than almost any other boat at all, apart from the little pilot cutter Ros and I had afterwards. So I'm absolutely thrilled to see her. I'm going to go around and have a look at her now, because she's absolutely right, you know. Nobody's messed about with the rig. She's got the right sort of masts, and bowsprit looks right. She just looks good. So I'm going to go and see what she's all about. See you in a minute. Well, I managed to get on board, and so did Ros, and she's behind the camera again. We found Liz, the skipper, who is flat out working, so she's not going to come and have a chat with us, but she's, I know Liz, as it turns out. We've met when I've been working up in Northumberland. It turns out that the vessel, she is in fact a Baltic Trader, taken out of trading about 30 years ago, and she's been purchased by a trust up in Blyth who are helping young people out, giving them a purpose in life, giving them new skills. It's just a great thing that they're doing. I think they're called the Blyth Tall Ships Trust. So if you look them up on the internet, you'll find them, and there's a great gallery there that shows you all the. It's a lovely thing, you know, young people working with older people. They've got some guys out of retirement to show them how to do the old skills, which of course pleases me no end. And speaking of the old skills, just look at this. That is proper job rigging. It's very easy for people, just when they're putting a loop on the end of a rigging to put it on a deadeye, if you leave them to their own devices, they'll probably splice it. And that's all very well, and it'll look very neat for a while, but over the years the salt water will get at it, and once you splice a rope, you do no good to the galvanizing with galvanized wire rope. You get your spike in there, the galvanizing gets damaged, and it's immediately susceptible to rust. And so on sailing ships, it generally speaking wasn't done that way. The rigging was turned and seized. And look at this. This is turned, seized, seized, seized and seized. And at the top, where the wire's been sawn off, and it's vulnerable because the rain can get down it, the salt water can get down it and damage it. There's a lead cap on there. That's as it should be, and the whole thing has been served around to keep the water out. But the wonderful thing is these seizings. These are racking seizings. It's done with a seizing mallet, and the wire is figure-of-eighted around like that. And then when you get to the bottom, you bring it back, forcing it down between the turns, going flat round all the way, and then you finish it off with frapping turns. Frap it up tight, and you get 4 of them on like that, and that is going nowhere. If it's been done by somebody who's not so good at it, you'll see that the shroud will have pulled a little bit and they'll be slightly cockeyed. Not a bit of it here. I understand they've got a young man called Nathan who's been learning from a master rigger, and I don't know if this is his work or his master's, but I tell you what, whoever did it got it right. And there's a really interesting feature that's caught me napping. These deadeyes, absolutely standard job, you'd think. You look at the top one, but it's not, because when you look at the bottom, look, there are 4 holes in this deadeye, not 3, which is what you usually see. I've never ever seen a deadeye with 4 holes in it in my whole life, and not in the Baltic either, which is where the vessel comes from. So what they've done, they've put 2 lanyards on it. So we've got 2 dead ends. I'm actually not quite clear how they've done it, but it looks really good. They've capped the ends, they've seized them off beautifully, and the whole thing is absolutely rock solid. And they've used wire, which is interesting. That's fairly controversial, but because they've done such a good job, it's going to be absolutely fine. And they've given it a coat of something to help keep the water out. It's lovely to see. I just adore it, really. And being on the boat is just great for me. It just takes me back to when I was a young man. The plan for the trust and Liz is to sail the boat round Britain. They've come down from Blyth in Northumberland with their crew, and they're down in Weymouth now, as we said. The next port of call is probably going to be Falmouth, but if the wind's right, they might not stop there. They've got another crew change coming up in Milford Haven, so that's the first stop, really, the first official stop. But of course, as with sailing ships always, it'll just depend on what the weather serves up. But I tell you something, they've got a wonderful southeasterly to start with, an absolute cracker, and it's not going to stop either, so they'll blow away down channel like a leaf before the wind, go around the corner at the land, and then reach bravely up to Milford Haven. I think they'll have a grand trip, and I tell you what, I wish I was going with them.